Huh. I like that you can see my dirty dinner plate and empty bottle of alcohol in the background. I'm a professional. Hey guys, it's Michaela back again with another video, and this time it's round 2. The last video I posted was my read with me for the first book of The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. Again, I'm guessing that that's how that's pronounced. And now I'm going to be doing a read with me for the second book, which is called The Dream Thieves. I'm very excited for this. I actually read the back this time, which probably would have helped me, last time. And I can see that this one is focusing more heavily on Ronan, which is fantastic. I think the first book left Ronan off in a very interesting place, and I am so curious as to what is in store for him. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to really talk about how stupid I am. At the beginning of my read with me for the Raven Boys, I said what I thought this series is going to be about. And I said I thought it was going to be very gay, and I thought it was going to be about a sport. And then as I started reading the Raven Boys, I realized I think I was wrong. I think I was thinking of a different series. And it turns out that that is true. I was thinking about a series, I think it's called, I don't know what the whole series is called, but I think the first book of the series is called The Foxhole Court or something like that. The reason I now believe that's what I was thinking of is because I was entering on Goodreads the fact that I had read the first book, I had finished it. And in the little recommended section off to the side, it was like, hey, you might also like this book. And I saw the cover and I'm like, well, hang on, that looks familiar. And sure enough, there's a book in that series called The Raven King. And of course, the final book in this series is called The Raven King, I think. Is it? Yes, it's called The Raven King. So, I mean, listen, it's an understandable mistake. I also have not read that book, but I definitely was thinking about that series when I picked up this one from my friend's house. That's neither a good or bad bad thing. It's a neutral thing. I am enjoying this series. I am glad I am reading this series, and I'm not disappointed that it's not what I thought it was going to be. Like I said, I had a very, very vague understanding of that other series as it was. But I just thought you guys should know that I'm a big ol' fucking idiot. So that being said, I am going to go ahead and start The Dream Thieves now. I am hoping to finish this today. I'm kind of starting it a little bit later in the afternoon. It's like almost 1 o'clock. Oh no, it's past 1 o'clock now. Good. But it's also Friday. And it's not like I have plans during this quarantine. So yeah, let's get started. I am 20 pages in, and I'm already even more engrossed in this book than I was in the first. I am so on board for wherever this Lynch story is going. The Gray Man is terrifying. The Gray Man is such a strange villain, I'm assuming. In 20 pages, I've already managed to ask 1,000 questions. I don't want to say that I've stopped caring about the leyline plot, but I did talk in my first read with me for the series that I had just a hard time following the leyline stuff and the whole king thing. It was a little much, but this, whatever's going on with Ronan's brothers and with his late father, very much on board, very much curious. And I mean, if that's what this whole book is about and we don't really touch the leyline stuff again, I'm not gonna be mad about it. I just want to pause for a second to give an example of the writing in this series. It is truly some just lovely words, some lovely prose. So this is the first 2 paragraphs of chapter 5. So there's no spoilers or anything. Later that night, back in Monmouth Manufacturing, Ronan woke up. He woke like a sailor scuttles a ship on rocks, plunging, heedless, with as much speed as he could muster, braced for the impact. Ronan had dreamt he'd driven home. The way to the barns was twisted as a light bulb's filament, all corkscrew turns and breathless lifts through broken terrain. These were not Gansey's tamed mountains and foothills. These eastern hills of Singer's Falls were hasty green folds, sudden rises, and precipitous hatchet marks in the rock-strewn forests. Mists rose from them, and clouds descended into them. Night, when it came to the barns, was several shades darker than it was in Henrietta. That's just beautiful. Like, this whole sort of like small town Virginia world that is being built is just so breathtakingly alive, and I just like want to walk around this place. It's so fantastic. I'm starting to feel torn about the idea of romance in this series, because I'm, you know, a good chunk-ish of the way through this book, which is the second book, and we're starting to set up sort of the vaguest impression of a love triangle between Blue and Gansey and Adam. And I historically hate love triangles, but just generally, it's sort of like we're being told that, hey, this romance is coming, like it's on the way, but absolutely nothing is being done to actually set up romance. It's like the friendship between the five of these characters, you know, the four boys and Blue, is so well done, and I love it so much. I love their dynamic so much, and I feel like romance is gonna ruin it. I feel like romance is just gonna get in the way, and knowing that it's coming, or at least believing that it's coming, is kind of putting the stamp of dread on it. Like, it feels like I know one of them is going to die. Like, yes, Noah's already dead, but like, it's like, and I guess, now that I think about it, we technically do know that one of them is going to die, but I am more dreading the romance than I am dreading anybody dying. So I'm just like, I feel like a death wouldn't be as intrusive as a romance would be at this point. I feel like if a romance is coming, we need to start seeing the actual first steps of that starting around now. I think I'm like 100 and something pages in, like just past 100. If romantic things are happening, either they need to start happening or we just need to stop talking about them, because right now it's a lot of talk, but like no actual, I don't ship anybody because they're all friends, and that's all that's happening is friend stuff, and I love the friend stuff. If a romance is coming, I want to feel it. Like, I want to be excited for it, and right now I'm just like, no, I don't want it. Okay, so Ronan pulls this like terrible beast creature from his dreams, and they kill the thing because it's, you know, tries to kill them first, and their first instinct is to bury it. Like, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just like an internal curious Ravenclaw, but I'd be like, let's take photographs, let's dissect it, let's probe at it, because this thing, they know that there is another one that has gotten free, that's like loose, and that they need to find before it kills somebody. But also just like, aren't you curious about this dream monster that is now real that you've just killed? Like, I would want to know everything I could about it, and they're just like, no, it's chill, we're just gonna bury it. Like, oh my god, how are these boys so devoid of curiosity? Baking break, the before and after. Okay, so it's 2 days later. That baking break that I took turned into a Brooklyn Nine-Nine break, which turned into a playing The Sims break, which then turned into me going to bed. So I didn't keep reading Friday night, and then Saturday I spent basically the entire day at my parents' house. So it is now Sunday late morning, and I am getting back to reading this. I am 170 pages in. I left off with Gansey and Blue taking Ronan for like a reading situation with Kala. That's where I'm gonna pick up, and hopefully I will get this book finished today. I have to say, I am really enjoying any time we step away from our main cast of characters to follow the Gray Man. Every new little piece of information we get about him is like more surprising than the last. He's mysterious and yet weirdly open. I love this character. I love the information that we're getting through his point of view, and I simultaneously want more of him, but also really sort of respect the little tidbits we get at a time. So I'm kind of torn, but yeah, I love this character. So about 240 pages in, and Blue has finally admitted to herself that she has a crush on Yancey and doesn't really have feelings for Adam at all. And my problem with this is that I don't understand why. I think I can understand why she might not have feelings for Adam. You can't like force feelings or whatever. But Yancey is like pretty insufferable. He's definitely, of like the 4 boys, the worst, which is kind of surprising for me because I thought Ronan would be the one I didn't like. I don't really like sort of that gruff macho type. But Ronan's fine. I don't really have any opinions on him. But like Yancey's just like a generic dick. Like there's nothing particularly interesting or fun about him. I feel like every scene that he's in, like he's just the part of it that I want to shut up the most. I understand why Yancey has feelings for Blue. I think that makes sense. I think that's been articulated well, like why he finds himself attracted to her. But it just kind of feels like yes, it's not out of nowhere that we're being told that Blue has feelings for Yancey. Like it's certainly that's been coming. But I feel like we don't have anything in the text for us to say like, oh, she likes him for X, Y, and Z reasons. I just feel like she does. And I'm just like, but why? He sucks. A weird thing about this book that I don't actually really know how I feel about is that a lot of the times a chapter or a scene will open up and I always feel like I'm walking into something halfway, and in a way that makes me sort of feel like I'm always playing catch up, like I never really know what's happening, because I like that a lot actually, when the reader is sort of left to puzzle things out when things aren't necessarily laid out, but in this book a lot of times it's more just like you're walking in the middle of someone else's conversation and they never take the time to catch you up. I feel like that a lot in this book. Like I'm always waiting for someone to catch me up on the joke or the story being told or just the bigger picture of what's happening in these people's lives, and I'm never clued into what's happening. So I feel like I'm just always on the back foot, and I don't know if I'm just a bad reader, like I'm missing things that I shouldn't be, or if things will be explained later and I'm just impatient or what. But I feel very unsettled reading this. Like, I'm kind of just not getting it. Okay, so this whole Kavinsky being a Grey Warren thing, super felt like it came out of nowhere. Like, I felt like there was absolutely no groundwork laid for this. Like, the character was just introduced in this book with like, this history that he has with Ronan and Yancey. But nothing of that was in the first book. So he just appears in this book and he can just like do this thing. And like no questions are being asked. He's teaching Ronan how to steal things from dreams, how to become a dream thief. And it's just like, I feel like these people, these characters are learning really big, really insane things about the world that they live in, and they just like don't have any questions about it. Like they're just like, everything's like, okay, yeah, like I can just steal shit from dreams. Like one of the crew, like Blue or Yancey or Ronan or Adam or whoever, like, one of them will encounter something new, something magical, something that they don't understand, and they'll like ask a question like, what is this, how does this happen, or whatever. They won't get an answer, either because the person they're asking doesn't know, or the person they're asking doesn't care to answer, or because there is no answer, whatever. And then it's just like the end. I get that they're all more used to sort of magic and energies and like the supernatural than say like an average person. But there's just such a lack of curiosity about the things. Like they're on a quest to find a deceased king, but there seems to be no interest in any of the other incredibly interesting shit that they're finding out about the mystical world. And it's really frustrating. And I'm like, how are none of you curious? How are none of you how are none of your minds being blown by the stuff that you're learning and the new experiences? It's just like, oh, I guess Ronan can do this thing now. Like, oh, I guess Noah just fucking disappears sometimes. Like, there's the lack of interest is really bothering me because I'm like, I'm not interested by the world if you're not. Okay, it is much later. I have finished. The sun is almost gone, so I'm gonna try to make this quick. The first thing, and really kind of the biggest thing that I want to say about this book, is that I have absolutely no idea what happened. This is the most confusing book I've ever read in my life. I can't tell you what it was about. There were so many things happening, like so many different threads of the plot, and none of them particularly made any sense. The only sort of character plot arc that I was ever really remotely interested in was the Gray Man. I think that was incredibly well done. I loved him. I loved that plot. I loved the relationship between him and Blue's mother was like super weird and came out of nowhere, but like really worked. I could have read an entire book of this hitman trying to track down Ronan, but he doesn't know he's looking for Ronan, and he's also terrified of his brother, and he's falling in love with a psychic. Oh my god, would have read a whole book of that. Amazing. The Ronan Kavinsky plotline was truly a mess. What was that? What was that? It came out of nowhere. It didn't make sense. Like, I get that Kavinsky was introduced in this book. Unless I completely blacked out, he wasn't in the first one. So he's introduced in this one just to basically act as sort of the instructor for Ronan. Like, someone has to teach him to do what he does. And so that's Kavinsky. Fine. But their whole relationship, like, the relationship that, like, very quickly blossoms and immediately falls apart again makes no sense. I don't know why Kavinsky was so angry with him all the time, and it's like never explained. Like, at first you think that they hate each other just because they're teenage boys with egos, and like maybe that's the case, but like there seems to be something like way deeper and like pathological about it. Like, Kavinsky was such a strangely specific character with like there's no there for him. He was just like, yeah, I'm a psycho. You're either with you're either with me or against me. I'm like, who the fuck are you? Like, literally, who are you? The homophobia was weird, and I'm like, am I supposed to read homoerotic subtext into this? I didn't know, and I didn't care because it was boring. I will fully admit, I've 150% lost thread of the Caves Water plot. I don't know what's happening with regards to this place. I don't understand it. I don't understand what's really happening to Adam. I don't even know if an attempt at an explanation was made. If it was, I missed it, and I certainly didn't get it. The whole thing at the end with Adam and Persephone, I don't know what that was. I was reading it and I understood that they were English words on the page, but I'm like, I have no idea what the fuck I'm reading right now. And the same is true for the final battle thing at the end between Ronan and Kavinsky with a dragon. I'm sorry, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. The writing is beautiful. Like, so many just lovely phrases, and like the delicate way that these four boys, really only three because Noah was hardly in this one at all, but the way that these boys know how to be delicate with each other and know each other's triggers, like they know each other so intimately, and like that comes across very clearly on the page. I really did like how Blue multiple times calls out her sort of outsider status, how like she knows she's not one of them. She's a part of the group, but she's not one of them, and how it bothers her. I'm glad she and Adam broke up because honestly, Adam's just starting to grate on my nerves. I mean, I don't like that she and Gansey are getting close because Gansey is basically the only boy I like is Noah. Unproblematic king. Ronan is fine. I don't really actually have many opinions on Ronan at all. Gansey and Adam both annoy the shit out of me for very different reasons and in very different ways and to different degrees, but they both annoy the shit out of me. And I don't really want to follow their plots anymore. I started out really liking this book. I started out like being very excited, and I would probably say the first third of it I was really into. But it just got so confusing. I found myself just clinging desperately to every chapter or section that had anything to do with the gray man, because that I understood it, and I liked it. I liked him. The whole thing at the end with his brother just like fucking shooting his brother. Oh my god. More, please. This series feels like when you're telling a story and you start like 1,000 sentences and you never really end up finishing them. Like you keep cutting yourself off to like bring up another detail, or like, oh, but then this guy did, like, you know, when you do that when you're telling a story that's so complicated, or you're so excited to tell it that you cut yourself off and you just you don't focus. That's what this book is. This book feels very unfocused. The whole series does. If you have a complicated supernatural lore, complicated world building like there is in this series, I need my handheld. I'm an idiot. I think it is getting so dark. I didn't realize how dark it was getting. Using my porch light to light myself because I'm a genius. I'm an idiot. No, I forgot what I was talking about. Right. I need my handheld. As though I am a small child. I need things explained to me. I am not going to get subtext. I am not going to get... If you drop a hint at something on page like 50 and it doesn't get picked back up again until like page 250, I'm not going to make that connection. That is way too much of a gap. That's way too big for my dumb brain to understand. And I guess I'm just too stupid to get these books. But I'm just confused. So I haven't decided if I'm going to give this book a 2 or a 3. The writing is really good and the character work is still really good, even though of the 5 like teens, the 4 boys in blue, I like 2 of them, Blue and Noah. I'm pretty neutral on Ronan, and I don't like 2 of them, Gansey and Adam. But the character work is still good. I'm leaning towards a 3 right now, because when you combine that with the good writing and just how much I was obsessed with the Gray Man plot, I do think that this is a 3. Everything else about this plot, though, I just don't like it, because I don't get it. I would love it if someone could just, like, explain it to me, just, like, Cliff Notes this. What is Cabe's water? I get that it's a forest. I get it's the forest. Is it in our reality? Is it in the dream world that Ronan goes to? I don't know. We like barely mention the Welsh king that we're supposed to be caring about, which, by the way, I was never made to care about the Welsh king. I don't really care if Gansey gets this. It's a weird MacGuffin because it's not one we're ever made to care about. And it also just feels so ridiculous and dumb. Like, even though we see lots of like amazing things happen, like Ronan pulling things out of dreams and whatever the fuck is going on with Adam, I still like firmly believe that this king guy does not exist because it's such a weird thing and it's such a dumb thing to want. This book is so weird. Deep Light. I did a review for Deep Light by Frances. I'm not gonna say the name because I don't know how to pronounce it. But I did a review for Deep Light and I talked about how weird that book is, and it was weird in a super wonderful way. It was weird in a way that made me want to just like fall right into the world and be like, tell me more about your weird ass self. I don't want to be in this world. It's weird in a way that makes me want to go take a nap. In fact, there were several times reading this where I just kind of put it down and closed my eyes because I was getting a little bored. I am going to give this a 3. I have decided it is a 3. It's not like an ecstatic 3, but it's a 3. I will keep vlogging. I'll do read with me's for the final 2 books. I'm just not excited. I don't know. I'm tired. I'm gonna sign off here. I really hope that I like the next one better. I hope that I finally start to get some answers. I would really love it. I mean, I know it's not, listen, I know this is not what's gonna happen, but I would really love it if the next book started off with like a Wikipedia summary of what has happened so far. Here's what you missed on Glee sort of deal, where it's just like, here's what's going on with Ronan, and here's what's going on with Adam, and here's what's going on with Gansey. I could not remember Gansey's name. If I could just have that, I would so appreciate it. because I just want to stop feeling dumb when I'm reading these. That's all I have. Thank you so much for watching, and keep an eye out for the next one. Okay, bye.